Up and down the country, schools are implementing their new secondary curriculum. But the big question is, how do we know it's having an impact?
One of the key priorities for the school was to help the students to develop their team working skills. What we tried to do is actually disable one of the students. We took a photograph of the team in action, and this was absolutely as it was happening, and we highlighted to them the fact that they had completely excluded this student, and worse, we'd highlighted the fact that they had their backs to him. The use of the camera is very, very effective. They can see it instantly, and not only that, we can actually capture improvements as well, all based around developing teams, as well as the other personal learning and thinking skills that we're working on.
St Philip Howard School in West Sussex uses a range of tools to capture the impact of their new curriculum, from instant snapshots to peer evaluations and their own skills booklets. In September 2008, the school introduced its new curriculum they call the Competence Curriculum. This innovation includes a day-long skills-based lesson every week for all its Year 7 pupils.
I'm accountable. We've taken 20% of the timetable away from other subjects. We're still going to expect them to come up with the goods in Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4. We did take it to parents, and although they were fully on board right from the word go, they're still going to want to know that we're not wasting their children's education.
Here you come.
Today is the pupils' 8th full day of skills-based learning focusing on competencies. They're in the final lesson of a module where they're applying skills to areas where there are different points of view.
What we're learning today then is up on the board here for you to see. What I've done is I've started to pull these comments right out of your skills booklet. So the first one we're going to look at is I can explore issues and events from different people's points of view.
Assistant Head Teacher Steve Williams leads in the development and evaluation of the school's new curriculum.
I was able to actually apply a structure in terms of thinking about what are the actual priorities that we want to achieve, and then how are we going to know that we've achieved them. Okay, now the first thing I want to talk about is this idea, that we should bring back forced conscription at 18.
I think it's a really bad idea because it's basically if it might be their only son, he could die in the army.
At the heart of their competence curriculum are the personal learning and thinking skills. One of the key priorities for the school has been to improve pupils' teamwork.
Okay, so at least 18 or 21.
So that kind of goes back to when we did the debate about the hoodies.
Okay, now I just want to look a little bit at the way the teams are working there. What are the good things that you can see happening in that team? Chloe?
They're all sitting together, like no one's left out.
Excellent, so they're making sure that nobody is left out. And let's have a look at the next shot. Now, it's a very different look to the other team. So what are the differences? Go on, Lucy.
Unlike the other group, they're all sort of, there's 4 of them, and then there's just one who's on the other side of the table, and he doesn't look like he's as involved.
Okay.
Well, we didn't really think about it until Mr. Williams took the photo. But I have to admit, if I was sitting where he was, I would feel a bit left out.
So what advice would you give this team?
To move around the table so that everyone feels included and can hear everyone else's ideas.
Excellent. Okay, that's the main point. So yes, I can use it in class to, for example, highlight teams that are working well, but also quite a powerful opportunity to gather, if you like, pictorial evidence of how the child is progressing.
Brayden, if you move up, James can move round. Okay.
The assessment we've chosen, which is to look at the softer skills and find some way of gauging whether there is development in the students. I suppose to a degree it's an impression assessment. It's not a number, it's not a mark on a test. But it is showing growth and development.
What I want you to do is produce a mind map to do with what's happened in South Africa in its recent history. Each source, if you like, is a point of view. You then need to try and find out as a team what happened.
Number 3. No, you do 2. You do 2, and then... No, she's going to do 2, and you're going to do 3 and 4. Just do it.
The main aim of the competence curriculum is to serve the other subjects around the school. And ultimately what we're trying to do is help students to become successful learners.
Okay, so everyone's put their own facts on there. It's just because I have another fact.
Oh, who hasn't done this bit?
I'll go around there. I'll write another fact up here.
If we're not providing those students with those skills, and actually we have to question what we're doing. Here's the what went well and even better if, in terms of the actual skills and process of producing those mind maps.
It would be even better if James and Chloe got a little bit more involved. And me. Really.
We need to look at what is real learning, what is good learning going to look like, what is it going to sound like, and that's been very helpful. Looking at the ECM agenda where the students are enjoying their own learning, but, you know, if that's all it's about, we can take them to Thorpe Park for the day, you know. It's got to be something more than that.
Yeah, we got the point across, not just like blabbering or writing it.
I see this as an investment of skills. Certainly what we've received from the other subjects when they do go to their normal maths and history and English lessons is that the students are engaged and they are more switched on.
Okay, yeah, so basically we're going to look at your end of module review sheet. The difference between this one and what we've done before is that this time I actually require you to look at your previous sheet and to see if things have changed.
What did it say? I changed. I used to be bossy and now I'm not. What are you now? It says communication and bossiness, and this one says to give other people more chance to.
These module review sheets are filled out at the end of each unit, so this is the pupil's fourth sheet to complete.
How have you changed?
It says I need to do more work, but on this one it says control my stress and aggression.
So really you've got to have...
I never knew you had anger problems.
You do need to think about the rigour of the assessment, the fact that actually we have got some repetitive questions so you can compare and contrast over the period of time the students' different answers to those questions.
What do you think I've improved on doing this module thing?
Well, you sort of listen more now because you didn't used to listen very much.
I think you've given more of your ideas.
Yeah. It made me feel like happy that I'd achieved more than last time because I didn't want the comments to be the same. I think you've got better at helping the group as the leader, because at the beginning you kind of didn't help as much as we would like you to.
One of the things we've been surprised with is how frank some of the students are with each other. Actually, they address things with each other that actually we probably wouldn't necessarily feel completely confident about dealing with.
Yeah, you stopped talking about horses.
Yeah, I did. Last time we used to talk about horses like all the time.
Is anybody prepared just to volunteer then? How they feel that over the last 2 or 3 modules that they themselves have moved forward? All right, Callum, give me an example then.
I've become less grumpy.
Okay, so what skills or strategies are you using to control your grumpiness now?
Well, kind of getting everyone to speak so my ideas do get across.
We've realised that this is a really powerful tool. What are the messages coming through? Am I still being told that actually I'm too bossy? Have I actually grown in confidence? And it's this particular type of question that we've put on there that is actually enabling us now to actually say, look, it's really clear, the students are progressing. Right, we started off this morning with these things which we are learning today. I can explore issues and events from different points of view. At the heart of the competence curriculum are the personal learning and thinking skills. So when we came into looking at how we're actually going to track the students' progress, how we're going to assess it, there are a number of different ways that we could have gone. Let's just look at we talked to a local school that had tried having a system of tick boxes. And the member of staff who had led that said, you know, the students were very committed to it, but it was a very turgid exercise, and soon they were just sort of swimming in tick boxes. So it was clear that that wasn't going to work. They came up with this idea of the APGAR graphs, and that was where I first saw it.
The skills booklets include spider diagrams, which were inspired by the APGAR 5-point health check system. Here, the 5 points on the spider diagram represent the health of a pupil's specific skill. The booklets are filled out every half term.
Okay, so we're looking at reflective learners. I can invite feedback and cope well with praise and criticism and setbacks.
I was awful.
Go on.
I got in a really big mess. I thought it was actually really personal.
Yeah.
So I just ignored that person for ages.
I don't really see it as criticism, I see it as advice. So.
Well done. And that's a really positive thing, isn't it? Chloe sees it as advice, not a criticism, which is really... Sorry?
I took it as a criticism first,
Yeah.
but now I just think of it how I can get better.
So if we look on Chloe's chart there, you're beginning to move along this line, is that right? Because you feel you're becoming more confident. Okay, excellent. Because you connect the lines, you can see very quickly what the issues are. You're not trying to interpret numbers. At the end of the day, as long as they understand that the middle is that they're not very confident and the outside is that they're very confident in that, it actually doesn't matter where they put their line, because it's a difference between the two lines, which is your conversation.
Think of the shape as like a battery, and if you're near the middle of the shape, it's like you need to like recharge your batteries a bit more.
I can set goals for my work and know the success criteria I want to meet. What do we think that's all about?
The standard of your work, like try and do better than your best.
Yeah, exactly. You're competing against yourself because you're trying to push yourself. You know, by just literally looking at that picture, you can see progress or regression depending on what the student is thinking. It's very visual, very fast. It communicates fast to me, it communicates fast to the students, and it communicates fast to the parents at parents' evening. I'd like you now, please, to finish up. Can we have the laptops printed off?
I think I'm going to be able to account that the measures we put in place will show that students are making progress. But that identification and that assessment is a process in itself. It's a conversation. It's not a teacher measuring and giving a level or a grade.
How are people finding using these booklets? What's going on there?
It's changed a lot, actually. The way they sort of viewed themselves has changed, and it wasn't always just getting better. No. Sometimes I think they were more honest with themselves and they realised that maybe they weren't as good at it as they first thought they were.
You can go through the whole drawing of the graph, but the movement of the lines and the comments they're making, I don't think they're getting quite enough out of it, because we haven't discussed on a personal level how they're using it.
I think initially, I mean, they are only now 8-9 weeks in, and so I would expect it to be very much teacher-led. So how are we finding using these sheets? What are people feeling about?
I thought this sheet this time was a lot easier to fill in.
Right.
But what I'd done today is I actually gave them all an opportunity, did it more formally.
It is an evolving process. You know, this is something radical. It is only our first year of doing it, and we are refining the process as we go along.
You know, it's not something that you can graph. And I think traditionally, but schools like graphing evidence, you know, and statistics and oh look, they've improved and there's my lovely bar chart.
The issue is, so far in education, we have measured what is easy to measure. And actually what we're trying to do is measure things, or not measure things, but assess things that are actually more difficult to measure. But they're still worth measuring. In fact, you might argue they're more embedded and they stay with the student for far longer. And it actually makes them more important, but I agree with you, more difficult to measure. But we're still accountable for it.
What we're trying to do is, if you like, look through different lenses at the child. The review sheets gets one of their peers' view of that child. The APGAR graph gets their personal view. The photograph shows pictorial evidence of how the child is progressing. So if you like, thinking about it from a sort of the child at the centre and these different standpoints, we are looking at the child, trying to build up a picture of the child, but also for the purpose of actually helping that child look at themselves and progress.
You can find some of the resources featured in the school by going to the resources area associated with the programme on the Teachers TV website.